It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Monday episode of Two Guys and a Goalie, the afternoon prior to puck drop on Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's Nielson, Gage, or Gage and Salas. We are presented to you by our friends at Cool Bet Canada. Go to coolbet.com, sign up for an account, and use the bonus code, the number 2, and the word guys, and you get a 100% deposit bonus. There's hundreds of things that you can bet on for the Stanley Cup Final. Stay cool, bet responsibly. Tampa Bay, a heavy betting favorite in the Stanley Cup Final, which does begin tonight. Boys, how's the weekend?
Hot. I was debating on whether to do this thing from the pool, but
that would have been awesome.
Maybe Thursday's supposed to be 40, so we might get Gage poolside for the two guys on Thursday. So
that's just insane.
Rhinos.
Yeah, that buddy. That was a great tweet. I love that Rhinos tweet. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. Terrific.
Classic.
Yeah.
You know what? I got to give my wife credit, though. She said it first, and I just stole her joke because she says it happens all the time.
He's working the levers. Remember, he's like getting kind of hot in these rhinos. It's like, oh. But I actually liked When Nature Calls. I thought that was it When Nature Calls? Yeah, the second one, right? Yeah, it was. I like that one. I thought it was actually pretty good. When he's bopping along on the Jeep and then it zooms out and he's on the highway. That's still one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. I got a pretty simple sense of humor here, boys. Hernan, how was your weekend?
Good, man. Saturday, just all day in the sun. Went on the scooters for the first time and scooting around downtown. And just good food and would stop by and have a few drinks here and there. But it was great. It's just chill. But I love this weather, boys. I could be in the sun all day. So no sunscreen, nothing. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
You didn't injure yourself on the scooter?
No, I didn't.
I thought you were gonna say go-karts. I was like, whoa, go-karts, what?
that's next, man.
Okay.
Because you know what, with all the F1 we're into now, like even when I'm just driving now, I picture myself behind a Mercedes. when you're on the road and it's like a smooth road ahead of you, I just picture myself driving like F1. It's amazing.
I was going down just like Stony Plain Road. And sure enough, Marshall's like, Daddy, that guy's ahead of you. I said, not for very long, son. And so I go by him and I said, well, we're officially in P1. And Tammy just looked at me and just shook her head. She's like, there's too much. We are sorry, Kaz. It's weird. We got like this rotation where at least we all are on Yellowstone, but Hernan doesn't do Marvel. We do Marvel. Slow episode of Loki this Wednesday, by the way. We didn't talk about that, did we? It was like I didn't hate it, but I didn't see it coming.
It was too slow. It was, you know what? I felt it was forced. It was forced exposition, right? Like both of them are supposed to be like sneaky, sly, kind of, underhanded illusionist type characters. And it was just like, they're just blunt, outright saying stuff. And it's not, I don't know. It was too slow. Now I will say the one thing I do think that she's enchanting him right now. And it's all like she's in his mind.
That's what I was thinking.
I think that's what's going on is she's created this in his mind to get him to give her the whatever little thingy. But as far as just the actual episode went, just the dialogue wasn't written well. I didn't like the dialogue. It was too forceful.
Gage, what do you think?
Yeah, all these series, there has been a kind of a filler episode to maybe it'll explain something that'll make sense later sometimes. But yeah, it was going breakneck speed there. I think we were just I was a little bit let down. I still liked it, but I was a little bit let down by that one for sure.
Yeah, I think Cass might be right. I think she's in his head.
Could be.
Maybe. Like, I thought one of them, I thought maybe he was in her head or she was, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I thought there's something going on there. I don't think it's as simple. I don't think they would have gone on as long if it wasn't the case, if one of them was messing with the other one. So we'll see how it plays out. But we've got lots to get to. We got Keep It or Clip It a little bit later on. We're going to give you our predictions here for the Stanley Cup Final, which does start tonight. Joel Armia is on a private jet as we speak, clearing protocol, trying to get in for game 1 tonight. So we'll see if that ends up working there as well. Let's start with, well, we got a contest that we just launched. It's on Twitter. If you don't follow us yet on at 2 Guys and a Goalie on Twitter, Hernan looks after that account quite a bit, but there's a tweet up there right now. We're going to pin it. All you have to, very simple contest. All you have to do is retweet that tweet. So go to 2 Guys and a Goalie on Twitter, retweet the tweet. We're teaming up with You Need a Barbecue. You can find them on Twitter at You Need a BBQ. Go to their website, youneedabbq.com. Cass, we're teaming up with them. All you have to do is retweet that tweet, and you go into the mix for what, buddy?
You get to go with one of us. We're still figuring out which one of us is going to go and do a pork masterclass. So spend a good chunk of a morning learning about butchering a pig, cooking a pig, different parts, and some championship barbecue techniques, which are pretty sweet. So it should be a lot of fun. Pretty good event to get out of the house for, and just a really cool experience. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, if you go to their website, youneedabbq.com, and then click on barbecue classes, they've got a bunch of different competition style classes, advanced barbecue techniques. There's a turkey masterclass coming up in September. The next one is the pork butchering masterclass, which would be July 18th, 2021. You guys have any history in the butchering?
No.
Outside of the English language, for me, that's about it. There's
I've done
not
like
much else.
I'll trim sometimes. Like if I get a cut of meat, I'll trim it up myself. But I've never done the actual butchering, which would be really, really interesting to see. And that's what I'd be interested for, is on some of the cuts. Is like, okay, well, how do you trim them properly? Like, most people, when they buy a thing of ribs, for instance, pork ribs, is they don't trim the membrane off the inside of the rib, which you're supposed to do. Like, people just don't know to do that. And but learning how to do things like that properly, I think would be really cool. So I'm interested.
See,
Why are you laughing?
No, that the membrane thing, like I was always taught to remove that membrane, right? So I got a pretty cool, I get a chopstick and get it under and just go under and take that. But then I saw some guys, they just score it too, like, and open it up a little bit. So I'd be interested to see how it's done there.
I was just laughing because when we were back in Cranbrook, Tammy was out with my parents, and she's like, I need you to get the ribs in to the slow cooker for dinner. I was like, no problem. I can do ribs. It can't be that hard. Cut them up. She goes, you got to take the membrane off. I'd never done it before. So I'm YouTubing how to remove membrane from ribs, and then I'm trying to get that butter knife and put it in on the rib, then lift it up. Tammy comes home. I've been at it for about 40 freaking minutes, boys. I'm not even kidding. There's rib all over the kitchen. I'm just like, I can't get this membrane off. She goes, well, I think you got most of it, but the ribs were just mangled. I just completely tore these things apart. So, I mean, don't be like me. Go to a class. They'll show you how to do it, because, yeah, that's the first time I ever had to do that. It was coincidence. It was like 3 weeks ago, and it was a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Gage, you use a chopstick?
Well, I score it with a knife, and then I put the chopstick in, and then I just keep going side to side with it. And I can kind of lift it up, get on both sides, and I get it most of it off in one piece that way.
Pretty clever, buddy. Cash, you got any secrets?
No, I just score it and then use my hands, and kind of, it would be similar. Just
like yank it,
wash my hands or have a glove on there. Like I'll use just like a nice little. You can buy those little. I don't even know what they're made of, but they're good for food, so you don't get gross stuff on your hands or fingernails, and then just get it in there and rub the membrane a little bit.
Just a second. Let me write that down.
Well done.
Rub the membrane.
Well
Got
done.
it. Done. Episode 153, I think we're on. Is that right, Hernan? I think we're 153.
153.
153. All right. If you're watching the live stream, subscribe to the podcast. There's 2 Guys and a Goalies. And once again, on Twitter at 2 Guys and a Goalie, just retweet the barbecue tweet, and we'll eventually, we're going to run it for 2 weeks. We'll draw a name at the end of it, and one of you will win that barbecue pork masterclass. All right, let's get to, we got to talk about it. Brought to you by Break Kings. Break Kings on Facebook, card breaking group, Break Kings with a Z. Just go on Facebook, search Break Kings with a Z. They're breaking NHL cards, NBA, NFL, MLB, 2-3 breaks a day, jerseys, tons of stuff going on over there. Break Kings on Facebook. Boys, Stanley Cup Final begins tonight. We're going to kind of dive into different aspects of this thing. I think the most important thing always is what Gager wants to talk about for this series specifically. Gager, what do you got, buddy?
Well, just the clash of the Titans with I guess they call him the Big Cat. I was doing my research today, and they call Vasilevsky the Big Cat. So the Big Cat against, and to see if the price is right. I was trying to think back of when they've had. I mean, I guess you can't say Carey Price is in his prime, but he's playing some of the best hockey he's played. And then Vasilevsky coming off a Vezina Trophy win. These are the two best goalies that we've seen in the playoffs so far. That stat with Vasilevsky shutting out teams in elimination games, that's unbelievable. To me it's really, I mean, there are some other things, but man, this is going to come down to goaltending so much for me. Just watching Vasilevsky play, like he makes some unbelievable saves, but then there's some that you kind of question at times where, gosh, that probably shouldn't have gone in there. Because then he'll make like 5-10 bellers. And then you have Carey Price, who's just been so solid for this whole playoffs, to the point where if it's not screened, tipped, or hit someone a weird bounce, it's not getting behind him, right? So, as of right now, I kind of give the edge to the Canadians just because of the way Price is playing. But I don't know. Well, I think we might see a 7-game series here, and I want to see the Canadians win. I got to go with Dusty on this one, but I'm kind of rooting for Montreal on this. It's been a fun ride to watch.
I think it was Ray Ferraro on my show this morning that said you have to go back like 20 years to find Patrick Waugh, Marty Brodeur, 2001, like two of the best goalies in the league, like arguably the two best would have been that. Well, Hasek would have been in the mix too, but head to head at that time, like you have to go back that far. Nothing against the Crawfords and the Quicks and some of these other goalies that have won Stanley Cups along the way, but these are the elite of the elite. And for me on the goaltending front here, before the other boys chime in, I just think it basically it's a saw off in my opinion. Not one of these guys is better than the other guy. I'm just wondering if one of them, like, it's whoever doesn't crap the bed in a game here or there, right? Like, and they usually don't. But Gage, you mentioned like the Mayfield goal that he went upstairs on Vasilevsky, like nice shot, but it's that type of goal pretty much in every game. Like whoever lets in that goal, that's borderline. Hey, maybe he should have had it, because for the most part they stop everything they see and 90% of what they don't. So I think it comes down to the guy who has the bad game, and there might only be one or two of those combined between the two of them in the series, and it's not even bad. It's just a off night, if you want to call it that. So
it's not even a bad game. It's not. It's just the one, like that razor fine line, just that bad goal. Just a lapse in concentration for a second. That'll be the difference on the goaltending side, and it's so small.
It's such a monster matchup goaltending wise, but I look at it this way: like if Carey Price struggles, Montreal I don't think has a chance. Where if Vasilevsky has a few stinkers, I think Tampa is good enough to overcome a bad performance, where I think Montreal might struggle a little bit more if Carey Price struggles. So, but again, I mean, hell, man, like it's Tampa Bay coming off last year's win. I give the advantage slightly to Montreal, man. They're feeling good. They're riding this hot wave. I mean, what they've done in these playoffs has been outstanding. But I mean, is Carey Price the most relaxed guy ever? When they won that game in overtime, he was just like, yeah, it's good. I'm happy to be here. But he doesn't over celebrate. He's not like giving these crazy interviews. He's just so calm and relaxed, and you never bet against a guy like that.
Hernan, can you reset your mic? It just sounded a little clunky there. Cass, you scored on Carey Price twice in one game. You know all of the keys. What's going to have to happen here for Tampa Bay to get to this guy?
Well, I was having a chat with Carey Price's agent this morning, actually, Jerry Johansson, and we were laughing about how I scored a couple on him. And Jerry said, "Do you want me to call Tampa this morning?" And I said, "Give him a shout." So what does Tampa need to do? They need to bring me in, and I will score on Carey Price. That's the obvious solution. It's the obvious solution. No, how you score on Carey Price is like how you score on other goalies that are playing really well or that are really good goalies. Traffic in front, and most goalies that I know really struggle with backdoor tap-ins. They really struggle with backdoor tap-ins. And so it's about creating second opportunities, second chances. If he sees it, he's going to most likely make a save. So you have to force him to make 2 saves or 3 saves, and your chances of scoring just go up the more opportunities in consecutive moments you get. So got to find a way to the net. Got to find a way to get there, get bodies and pucks to the net. That's really it, because you're not going to beat them clean and easy typically.
Now your mic's not working at all, Hernan. It looked like you were saying something hilarious there, too. I really wanted that. Gage, for most goalies, like Cass said, you're not beating many of these guys straight up. Do you see, in their games, side to side or playing the angles or moving, is there any different, even stylistically, I think both, to my blind eye, I think they both play somewhat of a similar game, don't they?
I would have to agree with you, Dusty. They're even on the backdoor tap-ins, they're probably 2 of the best at it because of the way that they read the play. They identify where the danger comes from so much earlier and see how plays develop. They're 2 of the best. That's why they're where they're at. Watching Vasilevsky, even the way they take away the bottom of the ice so quickly from any of those plays. It's really outstanding how they can move around like that. It's a gift from God, the way they can move around. But like I said, I think the only way is that you really have to make it difficult for these guys to see the puck and moving it east and west and getting shots, and nothing. Do not be dusting pucks off. Even if it's rolling, you probably have a better chance scoring on a knuckle puck than actually getting it nice set down and putting it where you want. Because, if you don't know where it's going, how are they supposed to know where it's going too, right? So, but yeah, it's going to have to be quick shots. And that's what I love about that Caulfield. It gets on his twig and it's off. He's I'm looking for him to have a good series here too. That'll be fun. Phenomenal
against Vegas. Hernan, did you want to chime in there on the goaltending?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. We're good.
No, I'm good. I already said.
Oh. All right. Well, let's stick with you, Hernan. Let's work our way out here. What do we got to talk about, buddy?
Yeah, looking at the decors for both these teams. You look at Montreal, and I think Cass said it last time. Jeff Petry's probably second or the most important guy on that team. You got Shea Weber there. Ben Sherrod, Joel Edmondson have been outstanding as kind of those physical shutdown guys. Then you flip it over to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got, if not the best, one of the best, and Victor Hedman, Mikhail Sergachev, who's a good young player, Ryan McDonough, who brings the experience. So just kind of I almost feel like outside of Hedman, this is a pretty good matchup as well with the decor, because Weber, Petry, they play a bulk of the game, and then you look at a guy like Victor Hedman, Montreal's going up against one of the best guys, and we'll see how the Cole Caulfields and all that are handled by Victor Hedman. But just looking at the depth of both decors, I think it's a lot closer than some might suggest, I guess. But Victor Hedman is the standout. But after that, it gets pretty even. Like I said, some good stay-at-home, some young guys in the mix there, and then you got a guy like Eric Cernak, who's he could be offensive, but he's a big guy that plays a physical game as well. So, advantage, I think you have to give Tampa just because they have Victor Hedman, but I think it's a lot closer.
I think it's because of the way that they manage him. Hey, Gager, Montreal will roll. I think Montreal has 4 D-men averaging 24 minutes a night right now. Hedman plays over 24, and the Lightning only have 3 guys over 20. I think the Habs coaching staff has done a really good job. Even when they sneak out that bottom pair, they're usually not together. They'll put what's his name out with Edmondson for a little bit, sneak in a little bit of Petry with one. I think they've done a good job of hiding those guys a little bit. And Gager, do you think their ability to play those 4 guys so heavily evens this matchup out a little bit?
I think both teams do a good job of managing minutes of their players when you look at time on ice on both throughout the whole playoffs. But yeah, Montreal they do a really good job. I think that is going to be so key. And you want if there's any D-man that could handle it, it's Victor Hedman, to take him into the deep waters of ice time minutes and stuff like that. But with those three guys, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Montreal with a little bit better D in this situation. I think they've played better in this whole playoffs, and they're the reason they're in the situation they are right now. So yeah, I like Montreal's situation with their D.
I'm going to agree with Gager here. Actually, I give the advantage slightly to Montreal, and Hedman's the best defenseman probably in the league, definitely in the series. However, the ability of the Canadians to roll out Weber and Petrie and to basically have those two guys on the ice for the entirety of the game almost, I think is a massive, massive advantage. And I just don't see the Lightning quite having that ability to do so. And when I just look at overall play level recently during the playoffs too, I think Montreal's defensively has been a little bit better as well. So I think the advantage goes to them there. Now, if we're talking offense, then Tampa certainly has the advantage. So it's going to be, I think, the defense of Montreal and that offense of Tampa and who comes up on top. And that's a big question, but it's going to be an interesting defensive battle here because, on one side you have kind of the duo of Weber and Petrie, and then on the Tampa side, Hedman, and both are, both teams I think have great defensive cores for the most part. I just think Montreal's just a little bit ahead.
I like the positivity here for this Habs blue line. It's good. Like if we were ranking them, it'd be Hedman, and then you've got Weber and Petrie, and then I think McDonough would probably be like, is it McDonough Edmondson type of thing, sort of right there? I mean, Sergachev's a really good talent too, but he plays a little bit.
I would have to go
down,
Sergachev before that, Dusty. Even
you think so?
Yeah, just the way he moves, and I think McDonough's great. Don't get me wrong, but I think his best days are a little bit behind him. That Sergachev is a really good defenseman too.
I know plus minus doesn't matter anymore, but McDonough's plus 11, Sergachev's plus 1, and Hedman's minus 2 so far in the playoffs for the Tampa. Hedman's minus 2, if you can believe it, considering how good that guy is. It's so I mean maybe slight advantage here to Montreal on the blue line, but Hedman obviously a huge difference maker, like Cass said, especially offensively. There he's got 12 power play points, 16 points on this, and won the Conn Smythe last year. So he's a stud, absolute stud. All right, before we get to special teams, let's go with what I got to talk about, and that is a huge matchup up front in Philip Deneau and Gallagher and Lehkonen, the overtime heroes from the last series, but they have been lights out tight in their own end so far here, and they're going to have the biggest challenge. Well, I would think the biggest challenge. I mean, they did a great job against Matthews and Marner. Terrific job. Matthews and Marner combined for 1 goal in 7 games. Winnipeg really couldn't get anything going offensively the entire series. And then Mark Stone didn't finish with 3 points in 6 games. He finished with 0 points in 6 games. So Philip Deneau and Brendan Gallagher have been excellent so far. You have to think Richardson, Ducharme, eventually whoever is going to want him out there as often as possible against the Point Kucherov line. As far as 5-on-5 goes, this series could be determined by this matchup. If Point gets free and gets running with Kucherov, Habs could be in trouble. If Deneau and Gallagher can suffocate these two guys like they have everybody else they played in the postseason, I think we got a series on our hands here. So this is a monumental task, though. Cass, your thoughts on Deneau and Gallagher needing to shut down the top 2 offensive players in the playoffs this year?
Well, it's a challenging task, but an important one. I mean, we talk about, do you pay Deneau over $5 million a year if you're Edmonton? I still don't think so. But if you can shut down another group in the playoffs, well, maybe you start thinking about it a little bit. Like this is massive for Montreal. Like if you look at what they need to do to win this series, not completely eliminating that line, but limiting that line, because they're going to still get opportunities. They're going to still get chances. But if you can limit their chances and limit their opportunities, like that's a massive blow to Tampa. And that really is the only way you're going to win. Like, because if you let them run rampant on you, you're not winning the series. You're losing the cup. Like that's the bottom line, is that group needs to, they need to shut them down. They have to find a way to do it.
I think, yeah, I agree with you, Cass. I do think a lot is dependent on these first few games of this series, because when I look back at the Matthews Marner and the Stone, I feel like they did such a good job with them early on in both these series that those guys, they almost started getting out of their game a little bit and trying to do a little bit too much, too many passes, trying to almost be too offensive. That's going to be the challenge, because I think with the Kucherov point, they can adapt to different styles of play. Like they're both, I don't want to say killers, but they're both physical guys, and they don't shy away from that side of things. So that'll be very interesting to see. I think if they can get those two into a situation like they did in the previous series, where maybe they're not producing offensively as much as they have previously, then they might start holding the sticks a little bit tight, overpassing, just trying to do maybe a little bit too much can also be. Also not work out and kind of hurt your team. So I think these first few games against them is really is going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely going to set the tone, Gager? Like, to see what Braden point line can do. And is this line probably the most dynamic they've had? That they're going up against. Like, Vegas's top line is pretty good. Same with Toronto. Winnipeg was missing Scheifele, but and then like you said, like, Kucherov and those guys, like they don't back down. They're smaller, but they're going to come at it full force, and they're going to take on the challenge. So outside of the goaltending one, I think this is the more intriguing matchup. If I had to pick, I'd give the edge to Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov. Now, Kucherov's health's a big question mark as well. But that Philip Deneau, man, he's greasy, so he's going to get under the grill, and so is Gallagher. So I can't wait to see these guys go toe-to-toe. But I'll give the edge to the top line of the Lightning for now.
There was a great when they won the series, and Deneau and I think it was Caulfield eating
their
pizza.
post-game.
Yeah. That was such a cool. I got chills watching that when Caulfield was saying, "I'm just I'm trying to do my job and just to take it all in." And Deneau put his hand on him and he said, "You're a huge part of this." And like I was like. I had to go to the bathroom to get the tissues, because I was like, "Oh my God, that was such a cool little moment of a veteran with a young player." Right. So right then I said, "Pay him his $5 million, Cass, and get him in here," because that's that intangible stuff that for a team to have. Really cool moment between teammates. Awesome.
Gager, you're going to be giving Deneau $6.5 million on a 7-year deal by the end of these playoffs.
If they win, I will.
All right, let's continue with we got to talk about it as we preview the Lightning and the Habs, and then we'll give you some predictions here as well. Cass, what do we got to talk about, buddy?
Well, I'm going to build off what everyone else has done, because I think this is accumulation of it, of all those matchups, of the goaltending, of the defense, and even of that the Deneau Kucherov point matchup. Like, special teams are going to, in my opinion, be where this series is won or lost by Montreal.
Yeah.
If their penalty kill can shut down Tampa's power play as well as they have shut down, they shut down Winnipeg as well as they shut down Vegas. I think it's 30 in a row now at this point that they've killed. Like, it's insane. And if they continue to do that, they could win the cup. Like, to me, that's going to be the difference. Now, part of it also depends on how the referees actually officiate, as we've talked about. Like, what's Chris Lee calling today or not calling today? Like, what's a penalty, what's not a penalty? But if they call typical penalties or what should be penalties, a lot of this series is going to come down to how well Montreal penalty kills. Because for Tampa, like, their power play, that's their bread and butter in this playoffs. Like, a lot of their offense, actually a majority of their offense, has been on the power play. And if Montreal can stifle that, first, limit the power play opportunities, and second, if they can stifle that power play when there are opportunities, they got a chance to win the cup. And to do that, though, you need all those things. Like, you need your penalty killers to be on point. You need your defense to be on point. And for goaltending, well, that's a huge thing for the penalty kill too, is your goalie's going to need to make some saves, and a few more saves than he does normally 5-on-5. Like, it's just the reality of being shorthanded is you have to make some more saves, and sometimes the big saves. on when you're on the penalty kill. So to me, that's where it's going to be win or loss. I would be willing to bet. Maybe we need to check with the cool bet guys, like based on the number of penalties or goals given up well in the penalty kill by Montreal. That's going to be a big dictator of whether they win or lose. Because right now, I think in their last 30 kills, they're +3 in goals, which is nuts. That they've scored 3 shorties and haven't given up anything is insane. And if they can keep that run going, they could win.
Cass, it's so key because Montreal's number 1 on PK in the playoffs. Tampa Bay's number 1 on the power play. And like you said, I think the officials are going to have a big part in this because it benefits Tampa Bay if they call the rule ball. Montreal, if they're letting everything go, then Montreal's a huge advantage. And I agree with you. I think this is so huge for the Montreal Canadiens. They win this battle, and even if they can get some goals on the power play, because Tampa Bay, I think, is like the 3rd best on the PK or 4th best in these playoffs. So they've given up some, but like you said, they've scored shorthanded goals. They've killed like 30 in a row. So for me, this is another enormous matchup. And this is going to be on the officials, man. I mean, did they get a talking to after going into the finals? Like maybe start calling a bit more, because if they do, then benefits Tampa Bay. Because let's just say Montreal takes 5 penalties. Like, Tampa's eventually going to get 1, right? So a big part of the game for sure in the special teams and the officials.
Yeah, what's Carey Price's penalty kill save percentage? It's it's astronomical. It's 98 or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, he's they always say your goaltender has to be if your best penalty killer, and if he keeps this up, it's going to be tough against that power play though. That's a different power play that they've faced this whole playoffs. There's just so many options, so many weapons. Like as soon as something shuts down, it's almost like the triangle offense sometimes, how they move around and stuff like that. It's that's going to be very difficult.
93.5 on the penalty kill versus 37.7 on the power play. Like these are but Cass is right. I mean, we just laid it out. Blue lines are pretty close. Goaltending's essentially a off. And if the point thing's big. I mean, if Point and Kucherov get going, it's lights out anyway. If Deneau can contain them, I think the rest of the forward groups are close to a off as well. And then it comes down to the special teams, where you got an all-time penalty kill right now going up against an absolutely brilliant power play. Like, it's, you know what? The way we lay it out here, it's a great. It looks like it's going to be a great series. Like, I thought if the Islanders would have knocked off the Lightning, I think I would have picked the Habs to beat the Islanders, and the Islanders took them to 7. So, like, there's not a lot of separating these two teams, I don't think. So that's kind of the 4 things we wanted to talk about. Now let's get to our predictions. So, series winner, how many games, and the series MVP, which will probably end up being the Conn Smythe winner. But who do you guys got? Let's start with Gager. Gager, what do you got?
I've got the Canadiens in 7, with Carey Price winning the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, I can't keep betting against Montreal. So stupid. I'm going to go. I got the Habs in 6, and I got Carey Price as well as my MVP.
What is happening here? You guys are getting me way too excited. Cass, bring back to reality here.
I'm going to bring you back down to earth here. I would love, like, I am cheering for Montreal to win. I want Montreal to win. I want to see them win. I think, though, we see that explosion from the point line, and I do think that Hedman would be series MVP. I think he gets the Conn Smythe again, and I think Tampa wins in 6.
All right, great predictions, boys. Let's move along.
Whoa.
Yeah, we got to get you on record here, pal.
Let's hear it.
Boys, I want the Habs to win more than anything in a long time. But I just look, Tampa's $18 million above the salary cap with some of the best players in the entire National Hockey League. If they don't win this series, and I know everybody will say 2 really good hockey teams, blah, blah, blah. If they don't win this series, it's a choke job by the Tampa Bay Lightning because they've got a significant advantage. So I'm on Tampa Bay. I'm saying Tampa Bay in 6. They lift the cup in Montreal just to continue to drive the dagger into Canadian sports teams who've seen their team get to the Stanley Cup final. So yeah, pains me to say it. I got it. I hope Gager and Hernan are right, but I'm on I'm on Lightning at 6. You made
Cass,
me do it, eh, boys?
Like, I know you're supposed to treat every opponent the same or whatever, but when going into a series, like, don't you think that the Golden Knights were like, this is great, we're playing the Canadians, like they're the lowest seed? Like, do you think they didn't give them the respect that they actually deserved, and by the time that it all came around, it was a little bit too late? Like, do you think there could be some of that with Tampa? Like, I mean, at the start of the series, Tampa, you don't look ahead in series, but if you're thinking, man, I'd much rather play the Canadians than the Golden Knights just because of how the regular season went, do you think there's a chance that they might take this a little bit light, being it's the Canadians rather than the Knights?
If it was a team that hadn't just won the cup, I would say yes. But I don't think for a team that is looking to repeat here that's going to be the case, like where they understand what it has taken to win, and they understand that even teams that maybe don't look like they're as challenging, or they're not as challenging on paper, they can still come at you and they can make your job difficult. So I don't think we're going to see that from Tampa. We may have seen that a little bit from Vegas, where they were looking at that series and going like, oh, we should win this. Where I think Tampa just understands what it takes, and that's just not. I just don't think that'll be the case.
The experience factor.
Yeah.
Before we get to Keep It or Clip It, just quickly from our friends at CoolBet and CoolBet.com is where you can find these odds. For game 1 tonight, Tampa is a minus 196 money line favorite. The Habs paying plus 171 as an underdog. The total is actually set at 4.5, with the under being the favorite, or the over being the favorite at minus 143. And for the series, let's just remember these numbers depending on how the series goes. Tampa Bay to win the cup, minus 278. Montreal to win the cup, plus 225 in this series. If you're looking for the numbers at CoolBet, they've got like 128 different things to bet on for tonight in game 1, and hundreds of options for the series as well. So no shortage. If you've not yet signed up for an account at CoolBet, use the bonus code 2 guys, number 2 in the word guys, you get a 100% deposit bonus. And one more time here, if you're listening on the podcast, you're watching on the live stream, go to 2 Guys and a Goalie on Twitter. You'll see our barbecue contest with You Need a Barbecue. All you have to do is retweet that. We're going to give you a couple of weeks. Retweet that. We'll draw one name, and you're going to go to a barbecue class with one of the boys here from the podcast. All right, boys, let's get into Keep It or Clip It. I got to come back around to the Oilers here a little bit, fire people up, piss them off a little bit. Let's start with this one. The Oilers must re-sign Adam Larsson. Keep it or clip it.
Oh, God. As of right now, I think you have to. I'm going to keep it. I think he's that mean, nasty D that every team needs. I would re-sign him. Keep Adam Larsson.
Yeah, this one's tough. Let's be real here. Adam Larsson had a good year. Previous years weren't so good. But it's hard because you don't know what else they're going to bring in. But yeah, I think right now you kind of have to. He just kind of gives you some solid play there in that second or third pair, wherever you want to put him. And if he can if he can play like he did this season, then yeah. So I'm going to keep it for now.
This is a tough one for me. This is a tough one for me because part of me wants to say yes. Part of me wants to say like the must.
Yeah.
It's the must. Like they should try to, certainly, but like at what cost is the question. I'm probably still gonna, I'm gonna keep it. I was very upset with him at the start of the year and with how he played. And I thought his play was very poor early on. As the season went on, he got his legs underneath him. He looked like he started moving better again, and he was really, really steady and dependable back there. And that's something that I think is extremely valuable for this group. So I guess I'm talking myself into, I think you got to keep it, that you must sign him. But I'm going to throw a caveat in that. Like, you can't be like ridiculous here, like reasonably priced. You must sign him. Yes.
Yeah. I think the reason this is an interesting conversation is because the Oilers don't want him to pay him $4 million again. Like they'd like to get him somewhere in the 3. If you're Adam Larsson, you're sitting here going, okay, well, I can go test unrestricted free agency. If Tyson Barrie's priced himself out and you're not getting Dougie Hamilton, I'm your best option. And if you don't have me, you're coming back with Barron Bouchard and some lesser free agent on the right side. Like that right side concerns me if there's no Adam Larsson. So that's why I wanted to ask the question and see where you guys came out on it.
They're trading for Seth Jones, so.
And they're giving up way too much, right, Cass? Isn't that the common theme here? All right, question number 2. Oh, go ahead, Anna.
I was just gonna say Cass, but we have the Edmonton Makar and Bouchard, so why are you worried?
Right.
Yeah,
That'd be amazing. That would be amazing.
It would be. I hope he is. I hope so.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Question number 2. It sounds weird because we've watched him so much here, but he's eligible next year. Cole Caulfield will win the Calder Trophy next season. Keep it or clip it.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it for sure. Yeah, I think he will. He's gonna light it up.
He's gonna score 30
goals. Yeah, he probably will.
I'll keep it too, man. This guy's legit. Like, and he's gonna be like him and Suzuki, the most offensive guys on that team. Yeah, I think he gets it. Keep it.
Remember when you guys tried telling me that Anderson was a better offensive player than Suzuki? Do you guys remember that?
Nope.
I remember that.
I don't know.
Dusty certainly was like, "Oh, we thought Anderson," and I was like, "No, it's Suzuki." And then now later, you were just like, "Oh yeah, I see what you mean." But for Caulfield, I just wanted to get that in there.
I was gonna say, where's this coming from? That must have been after Anderson scored 2 goals at the beginning of the season. Remember, we're like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, you know what? Anderson's really key too. He's a good player. Does he win the Calder? Because I'm trying to think of who else is going to be jumping in.
Well, I got a couple of names here, like
Bouchard,
the Zegras kid.
Step in.
Bouchard.
Bouchard is going to step in here and is going to be the Makar, and so he's going to do it. Bouchard gets it absolutely. So I'm going to clip it.
Question number 3: a freezy is better than a popsicle. Keep or clip it.
Ooh.
I'll keep it. Freezy's rock, man. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I watched a YouTube video of the girl that cut it and put the booze in it and then used the hair straightener to put it back in and put them aside. I think we'll have a freezy day someday this week. It's going to be too hot.
That's a good move.
I'm going to clip it because I think you get more variety with popsicles than you do with freezies. Like freezies, you just got your base colors and that's pretty much it. But popsicles is like there's all kinds of different types and all kinds of different flavors, and you just get a little bit more variety. So I'm gonna clip it.
It's also the convenience of having the stick as opposed to the plastic sleeve that cuts the inside of your lips. It's a little bit of a difference there. Yeah. So, yeah. All right, final question, boys. After watching Carey Price and Andrei Vasilevsky stand on their head in the postseason, the Oilers should go big fish hunting between the pipes this offseason. Keep it or clip it.
See, I've been saying this for a while now. Like, I love Mike Smith and what he did, but I think the Oilers have to get that legit number one, boys. I'm not saying Price or Vasilevsky because those guys were drafted and all that. But if we can find a guy like that, maybe it's Kosa. I don't know, but I think yes.
Kosa's not ready for a couple of years, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you take him this year and probably have to wait at least 2.
Man, yeah. Who do you get though?
I know.
That's the thing, right?
I think your best option would be one of those guys out of Columbus, right? Those guys are prepared to take that next step. But then I think it's Elvis is at 4 and
he's at 4.
Korpisalo's is at 4.5
Korpisalo's 2.8.
2. Well, then Korpisalo, get him because then Mikko's massive deal. I hate agreeing with Cass, but I do not think you can having over 10 mil, even I think 8 is kind of where you should be looking at to pay your goalies. And I hate to do it, but maybe you get one at 7 and one at one at 1. But yeah, I think you want to, that's your, especially with the flat cap this year, that's how much you want to spend. You don't want to be spending more of that.
Oh boy. I'm going to keep it because it's such a glaring need. Normally I wouldn't want to. I'd say you got to build through the draft, but we're in win time here for the Edmonton Oilers. So get a goalie, got to get him, and probably going to have to pay for it. But got to do something here.
We'll see how they approach the goaltending. Plot twist, Koskinen is the big fish, and you just got to give him an opportunity. Wouldn't that be something, eh? Imagine if they trade Koskinen. If they trade Koskinen, like give him away, retain $1 million, and he goes on to win the Vezina this year somewhere else. That would be amazing. It'd be a nightmare, but
not surprising.
Oh, that would be something else. All right, boys, that's going to do it for a Monday episode. Once again, find Two Guys and a Goalie on Twitter. I think we'll all probably end up retweeting it anyway. So find that tweet, retweet it, and you'll go into the mix to win a barbecue class from You Need a Barbecue with one of us boys here from Two Guys and a Goalie. Boys, enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight.
Stay cool, boys.
All right, boys. Later.